Let me ask you a question. What colors do you associate with Antarctica? Maybe white from the snow or blue from the ice in the ocean? How about red? Because for a certain explorer, while he was exploring in Antarctica, he found a blood red flowing stream. Hey, I'm Alex Lam, and in this episode of Stories of the World, we'll be talking about the blood falls in Antarctica. Now, red is such an unusual color to be associated with Antarctica. I mean, yeah, there are the bloods of the animals that could sometimes be present, but a blood red flowing stream that's consistently flowing, I think we can all agree that is a little bit weird. Now, blood falls is a captivating natural phenomenon. It's one of those places where, due to the very special circumstances, it's created this magical spectacle. So let's get to the story. In 1911, an Australian explorer, Griffith Taylor, discovered the blood red waterfall during an expedition. The 30-meter stream was found running down Taylor Glacier in East Antarctica. At first, the red color was believed to be caused by red algae, but over 100 years later, we finally solved the mystery. But before we talk about that, let's talk about why it was so interesting. The average temperature was minus 17 degrees Celsius, and there was very little melting can be seen on the surface. So it was astonishing seeing so much liquid flowing from the crack. There was never a concrete explanation to what was happening. That was until humanity's advancement in technology. Imaging from underneath the glacier revealed a complex network of subglacial rivers and lakes, all filled with brine, high in concentration of iron, which was what gave the falls its reddish pigment. Now, I know some of you guys might be thinking, Antarctica has freezing temperatures. How does the red liquid keep flowing? And this is an excellent question because the average temperature at this particular place is minus 17 degrees Celsius, which is 1.4 degrees in Fahrenheit. It should not be possible for water to be flowing. Well, to explain this, we're going to have to understand two very important points. First is that salt water has a lower freezing point than pure water, so that's why the ocean water around the icebergs don't freeze. Second is that when water freezes, it releases heat. Now, this does sound a little weird, like I was super confused when I first heard this, but trust me, it's science. Now that we understand the 2 points, we can explain how the red liquid flows. The lake under the glacier has an unusual salty consistency, and because salt water has a lower freezing point than pure water and releases heat as it freezes, it melts the ice, enabling the rivers to flow. It's really amazing how the system works because it'd have to be close to having a perfect balance for all of this to be possible. And to top it off, this is also known as the coldest glacier on Earth with constantly flowing water. The blood red flowing phenomenon isn't the only thing that's fascinating. The ecosystem in the subglacier is actually quite remarkable as well. Now, you'd think nothing could survive in the harsh environment of the subglacier network, but previous researchers found that it's home to very tough bacteria that has been cut off from the world for thousands of years. These microbes have had nothing to feed on except sulfate, which many bacteria can use for energy. Trapped beneath the glacier with no light and oxygen, the bacteria started recycling their sulfate supply, reducing it to sulfite, which would then react with the high iron content of the water, producing more sulfate for them to feed on, thus creating a beautiful cycle. Scientists believe that this surprising adaptation might not be limited to Taylor Glacier and is just one example of life surviving trapped under millennials of ice. This also provided scientists with an example to study harsh environments on Earth, which can be used to understand the range of conditions to which life can adapt and advance the possibility of life in the solar system, such as Europa, an ice-covered moon of Jupiter. Scientists of NASA Astrobiology Institute speculate that these ice-covered worlds could contain subglacier environments similar to Taylor's glaciers, which are favorable to hosting elementary forms of life. So this beautiful blood red flowing crack not only created something visually stunning, but has given our scientists stuff to research, which is amazing. For me, this has sort of pushed me about an inch further in believing that there is a life out there in space. Which brings me to the question, Has this changed your thoughts on extraterrestrial life, and how? Let me know in the comments below. And to be honest, I didn't think this blood red force would change my thoughts on life in space. I thought it was just something visually cool, but upon research, you know, it's just amazing how these unusual places can bring about so much information. Anyway, so that's the story of blood force in Antarctica. If you guys found this video interesting, hit the like button and subscribe if you want to hear more stories. Also, be sure to check out my previous videos. I'm Alex Lam and this is Stories of the World. Wow. Man, it is hot in Australia right